Hello, everybody, and happy Halloween. I am so excited because Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. And if you want to see me dressed up for Halloween, you can go to see Bungo Stray Dogs Season 3, Episode 7. I dressed up as Nobara for that episode. So that was a lot of fun. But for today's video, I wanted to treat y'all, because Halloween's one of my favorite holidays, but also to thank you all so much for having me over 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. That's really awesome. I don't know why y'all put up with my ramblings and listen to me, but you do, and so I'm really thankful. So thank you all so much. This individual here had requested a while back a movie called Empire of Corpses. And I thought that this would be, if I was like thinking around early October, I was really close to 2,500 subscribers, and I was like, if I get past 2,500, I'll watch it for Halloween. And then I did. So thank you all so much. So I can't find this really anywhere. It's through Funimation, but they don't have it on their site. I had to buy the Blu-ray and get a Blu-ray player, but it was worth it. And so I'm pretty excited. It's something spooky, but also it's kind of cool because it's made by Studio WIT, by WIT, which is the creator of Attack on Titan, which I'm watching right now. So it's the same studio, so I'm like, okay, the animation is going to be really good, probably. And then it also has to do with an alternate 18th century England, and the main character is John Watson. So I'm like, okay, is this like Sherlock Holmes, John Watson? I don't know, but I'm watching Moriarty the Patriot at the same time, so I'm like, that's kind of a cool tie-in there. So I'm all for it. Sci-fi Sherlock, I'll take it. With maybe zombies? I don't know. It sounds something like zombies. I don't know anything about this movie other than I just looked like on the back cover and it was like, okay, so 18th century England, there's something sci-fi going on, something about animating corpses. All right. And the main two leads are Hosoya, who is Reiner from Attack on Titan, and Sosuke from Free. I love Hosoya as a voice actor. He's great. He's the main character. And then the other main character is Ayumu Murase, which is Hinata from Haikyuu. So I'm like, what a weird combo, Hosoya and Ayumu. Very interesting. But I love both of those voice actors. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll check this out. So thank you for suggesting it. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for the subscribers. I've got my Attack on Titan Survey Corps hoodie on because it's cold in this office room right now. And so I'm all hunkered in. I'm ready to watch. It's 2 hours long. So I'm like, this is a full feature-length movie, but I'm ready for some Halloween zombie shenanigans, ready for some sci-fi Sherlock. I have no clue what I'm in for, but I am set to go. So thank you all so much. I hope you all enjoy. Happy Halloween, and thank you all so much for subscribing. And we'll talk about, I've got a little piece of paper I can take some notes on as the movie goes, because if it's 2 hours long, I'm probably going to need to take some notes, and then we'll come back and talk about it later. And I'll talk a little bit about my next sub-goal after that. So I hope you all enjoy, but yeah, without further ado, let us start Empire of Corpses and see what all we're in for. All right? And we're going to start the reaction here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh, that was really interesting. Man, I want to find out if it was a novel, like a light novel, or if it was a manga series. So I want to find out because it just seemed like one of those shows that you were like, did it originate from something else? So it was based on a series of novels written by Project Itoh. Okay. All right. So it was based on a series of novels. It felt like it. It felt like it was kind of condensing quite a bit, especially at the end in the end credits, because so Burnaby became a corpse too by the end, because you could tell with their eyes that Burnaby's eyes were different there at the end. I was like, oh, did he become a corpse too? And so, of course, Hadley becomes Irene Adler, because that's, the connection to Sherlock. Of course you would. So then it looks like Watson's whole thing worked, that he was able to be a corpse that could move. But then at the very end, you saw that he was with Sherlock and not with Friday. And Friday was looking at him through the telescope. And so he was his own person, I guess, and had separated from him. But it's like, but why? And so I kind of want to go find the novels now if they have English translations and see if they have any English translations, because that's interesting. I probably won't get to it anytime soon, but that would be interesting if any of you have seen those novels. This was so interesting. First of all, Studio Wit, I commented like 60 times during the reaction, but the animation in this was gorgeous. Like Kiyoani level of like just absolutely flawless animation. Like it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to look at. And the music was great. And it was really, really pretty. I really liked the first two acts of this movie, and then the third act suffers from like the Marvel movie syndrome act, where it's like it tries to wrap up everything, and I feel like if you read the novels, it's probably more lengthy and has more to it. It was fine. I kept wondering if Ayumu Murase, who is voicing Hinata from Haikyuu, he voiced Friday, and I kept being like, we got flashbacks where he talks, and he was the friend, but I was like, for a while, I was like, man, is Ayumu just gonna scream through this movie? And then at the very end, when the one, Frankenstein's monster, tries to put his consciousness into Friday's body, and you hear Friday talk, and it's kind of sinister, it's like, yeah, I like when Ayumu Murase plays a villain. It's not often, but when he plays a villainous character, his voice is so ethereal and light and airy, and when he's like Shoyo, he's so sunshiny and happy. So for him to play like a sinister voice or a sinister character, that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, I really liked Watson as a character in this. I thought Hosoya did a really good job voicing him. He didn't quite sound like Reiner, and he didn't sound like Sosuke either. He sounded different, so I thought that was cool that he was his own character. But yeah, so up until the ending, where it got kind of like Marvel-y Suicide Squad ending-y, which when you get to that point, what are you going to do? Up until that point, I really liked the idea, the sci-fi elements of it, and kind of the historical, like the alternate universe where they, did this corpse reanimation to like become soldiers and everything. And there's some really interesting commentaries throughout it. I like the idea of the weight of the soul. Like when you die, your body weighs less than it did upon death, so they think that's the weight of the soul. And what is it? I like the idea of language being the soul, that communication is, as an English communication major, I'm like, yes, language and communication, that's part of the soul. The idea that your ideas and your thought process is linked to that. I really liked that idea. But yeah, the whole idea, the thing that was a little bit confusing is what exactly, they said an automaton, what exactly Hadley was. And I guess it was she was kind of like an android, sort of, and she wanted to have a soul of her own. And then at the very end, she's Irene Adler, so I don't know. But then it was interesting. Burnaby. I like that in a movie like this, you only have 2 hours with these characters, so you kind of have to relate to them instantly. And Burnaby being like the brawny side character, and then you have I just love Hadley. Just our introduction to her outside of being on a ship is her like flame throwing a bunch of corpses and then gallivanting off with the president of the United States. Like, okay. But I did like where her story went to, and especially by the end. I thought Watson was going to kiss her at the end, and I was like, and then I thought maybe she would be revealed to be Mary, who Watson's married to in the series, but she's Irene Adler. But that's Sherlock's love interest. So I'm curious in the novels, if they make her Sherlock's love interest, what happens with that. Interesting. But I loved the relationship between Watson and Friday. I love that relationship. I like the idea that they were students together, and Friday, because at first, yeah, it's kind of like people keep asking him, they're like, what are you doing with Friday? And even Barnaby confronts him. He's like, did Barnaby want this? And then we did get confirmation in the flashback that, yeah, that Friday was like, donate my body to science. I want you to keep doing this. So it's like, that's what Friday wanted. Watson's doing his friend's request. It's just, reanimating bodies and trying to give it a soul, right? So I made all these notes and everything. Nikolai and Karamazov, what I have? Oh, Aloysia and Nikolai. I felt so bad for Nikolai because I really ended up liking his character, like when him and Burnaby shared the drinks and everything. And at first I thought that their ending was so horrific that they both turned themselves into reanimated corpses, but then you find out that the government was trying to assassinate them, and they eventually were going to die, so they chose to die together as brothers. And it was so creepy, that scene where he reveals like what Frankenstein's notes say, and then when he turns himself into a corpse, And the line, "We want you to destroy the corpse," not "I want you." We, like it's all the corpses together want you to destroy the notes, but he doesn't do it. That's the thing. Watson's told to destroy the notes, and that line, the "we want you to destroy him," is so creepy. And then we have that creepy scene where they're all at the dinner table together afterwards, and then they go through that whole process, and they stop the one from taking over everything, and then he still doesn't destroy the notes. He kept them for himself to experiment on himself. It's like, dude. And it worked, but you know. I feel like if Burnaby ends up being a corpse at the end, then something happens. So I feel like there's so much left out that we don't know, and it's like, come on. And then, like I said, it makes me want to find out in the novels what exactly goes on and happens, and happens with that. But yeah, so I liked the fact that they like little world building things, like Friday could write in different languages, and that's how he could communicate. I liked that they had to lug around this tech and keep doing like Morse code. It made sense with the technology they had, that the Morse code makes the little software that goes inside of them. That makes sense. But yeah, Nikolai and Aloysia being like, you can't overwrite death. It's like, there is no soul. And then, interesting. But yeah, Yamazawa, I loved that. And then the setup of his character, and then him defending at the end, and him like, they did little subtle things to set up each character and their motivations. Like with Yamazawa, when he closed the eyes of the corpses, that said so much to his character and how it is. With that scene where Watson passes out and like sees Friday like decompose, it was like, that was creepy. That was really, really creepy. But the action in this scene, the action was so fluid. At times when the corpses were like zombies and running at people, like the animation of the running was so quick and fluid. I'm like, studio, I'm watching Attack on Titan right now. I'm like, I just started the 3rd season. And so I'm like, studio, I see what you are able to do now. So I'm pretty excited. But yeah, that was so cool. And then the idea of obsessing over the dead, and like, what are you trying to do? Like, you're trying to bring your friend back. You know, are there consequences? That was the one thing, was that it didn't seem to have, I mean, other than causing him pain for a while, there didn't seem to be like, because Watson brings himself back to life at the end, so there didn't seem to be the consequence of it. I kept thinking it was going to be like Full Metal Alchemist, where there's a consequence if you try to bring back the dead. You don't do it. It doesn't work very well. Things happen, and especially with the concept of the soul existing. Like what? Because I thought that was going to be a big point at the end when the one who is Frankenstein. I like that they tied in Frankenstein and Sherlock together. Like those two stories meshing is interesting because they were published around the same time, and so you could look at it as in cinematic universe. But I like the idea that the one is trying to bring back the bride of Frankenstein, his bride, the woman that he loves, similar to how Watson's been trying to bring back Friday, the man that he loves. And so his best friendo, you can view it whatever way you want to. I was like, by the end of it, I was like, y'all love each other, but he also like was trying to get up, and kiss Hadley, so whatever. But I liked at the very end there was that connection, that parallel of the one trying to bring back his wife and Watson trying to bring back his friend and do that. And then, I kept thinking it was going to make a big deal about actually I kept thinking that like it was going to put the bride's soul in Hadley, and they were like, it was going to be revealed that Hadley does have a soul, and they were going to like have to battle out within her body and everything. And for a second that was kind of creepy because the one was trying to put his consciousness into Friday because Friday had the young hip body that was taken care of and was going to use that. But interesting. Yeah. And then of course, President Grant like turning on her, that was really cool. And then M was an odd, he was like a red herring antagonist. Like you thought he was going to be the antagonist of the series, and then he gets like wiped out right there in the 3rd act. The 3rd act was probably the weakest, I think, of all of them. I think the middle act was my favorite. The middle act where everything leading up to the bunker. And when they go in the bunker, oh my gosh, John and Friday in the bunker, when Friday took the gun and just starts firing at him, that was probably the peak. I really liked that confrontation between them, and it kind of peaked there for me. And then the final act was beautiful visually. I liked it, but I was like, because then everybody gets brought back to life at the end. It was like, I mean, it takes some liberties. Again, if it's based off novels, I'm sure they condensed everything. But I still liked it, and the end credits were fun. I wanted to see more with Sherlock. We got him in the last end credits. So I'm like, is there a sequel movie that I can watch? But I loved that line from M, or from the one, he says, even when we realize a mistake, we can't stop. M said that. He's like, even when we realize a mistake, we can't stop. That is humanity. And that's so true. It's like, even when you realize something's wrong, you do it anyway. Even when you know it's wrong, you still go through with it. And I thought that line was really good. But the idea that at the very end, Hadley admitting that, she has these emotions, and Watson's like, yeah, that's having a soul. And so, oh man. And that experiment at the end, that whole thing at the end, where he was basically dying and saying, if this doesn't work, here's all my last words to you, Friday. It was like, ugh. And it was like such an Inception ending. I was like, no, you're going to show us something, and then they show us at the very end. So it was good. I'm glad I watched it. Visually, that was amazing. It was a very spooky, Halloween-y movie. It had some creepy moments in it, especially with the corpses, and had that very spooky vibe to it, but also like revisionist history and alternate history. That was pretty cool. And I liked Watson's character a lot. Like I said, Hosoya, Watson, and Friday, I liked their dynamic a lot, and them as characters. Hosoya and Ayumu did a really good job voice acting for them. Especially Hosoya, him as Watson, I feel like you instantly connect with his character, even when you don't fully agree with what he's doing the entire time. But yeah, that was neat. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. Happy Halloween. That was just a fun movie I wanted to do. So thank you all for the subscribers on YouTube. I had already decided I had gotten 2,000 subscribers, and I was going to wait till 3,000, and then this movie came up, and I was like, well, if I hit 2,500, then I'll do it. But if I make it to 3,000 one day, I've got Promare. I went ahead and bought Promare. I know nothing about it, but I've had a lot of people request it. So if I get to that 3,000 point, then I will watch me some Promare. And it looks totally different than this. So we shall see what happens if I ever get to that point. But if I don't, who knows? Maybe in a year I'll watch it anyway. But in any case, I hope you all enjoyed this reaction. Thank you all so much for watching. If you've seen this movie, or if you know about the novels, comment down below. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Have a happy Halloween. And take care. And yeah, I'll be back soon with more reactions. Bye.